Chapter 70-30. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang realized that there was a lot of dirt on her body. Is this the next step of cleansing? She didn't have time to think too much, and quickly entered the chaos ring. If she did not clean up this situation, she would not be able to face anyone. Following the completion of the cleansing, Bailey Hongzhuang realized that she was much lighter, and her affinity with elemental energy had greatly increased. According to normal people, I am considered an immortal now. After changing into a clean set of clothes, Bailey Hongzhuang walked out. Bewitching walked over when he saw her. Congratulations, my wife. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. I finally broke through. She had been under a lot of pressure for the past year. She only wanted to break through as soon as possible, so that she could explore the crossing immortal domain. Fortunately, Xiao Seiwu didn't appear later, and the family was safe and sound. Otherwise he would feel guilty. Di Bei-chun understood the meaning of her words. His heart softened as he said, "Don't put too much pressure on yourself. This is not your responsibility." Speaking of which, he was responsible for everything. "Hongzhuang, you are finally out. Come, we have roasted a lot of food. We were just waiting for you to eat." Yang Lingfeng waved at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She pulled Di Bei-chun's hand and walked over. "Is this a celebration for me?" "Yes, it is to heal the wound in my heart." "Wound? You guys are too perverted. You have caused an indelible wound to my heart." The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chun talked for a while, and felt that it was time for them to leave. The crossing immortal domain was urgent. Moreover, they had been out for more than 2 years. They had to go back and see how everyone was doing. "You plan to go back now?" When Yang Qinxue heard the news, she was somewhat surprised. In truth, cultivating here was quite good. Qingyang City did not have such a good cultivation environment. "We've been out for quite some time. We still have to check on our friends," Di Bei-chun said. Yang Lingfeng nodded slightly. "That's true. Sis, you should go back and see Qingli. This mystic realm. After we leave this time, it won't be easy for us to come back again." At the mention of Bai Qingli, Yang Qinxue was a little moved. They hadn't seen each other for more than 2 years. She wondered if he was doing well. However, when she thought about how she might not have the chance to come back to such a beautiful place in the future, she felt that it was a pity. "Sister, this experience is unavoidable. We can't just stay outside and not go back, right? What if Qingli gets snatched away by another woman? What will you do then? Shut your crow's mouth." "All right." Seeing how reluctant the two of them were, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Di Bei-chun, and the corners of her lips curled up a little. This was also a problem that had been troubling them for a long time. However, it was also strange. Perhaps it was because they had stayed in this place for long enough that a new door had appeared in the chaos ring. They had tried. Once they entered the new door, they would appear here. This was simply the best news. Bailey Hongzhuang liked the chaos ring more and more. This thing seemed to be the key to opening the various planes. It always brought them unexpected surprises. Chapter 70-31. After making the decision, Di Bei-chun told the monsters of the Holy World that they planned to travel around and return after a while. During this time, the matters of the Holy World were left to the long-armed ape and the others to handle. In any case, before Di Bei-chun came, they had always been the ones to handle things here. Hearing this news, the monsters were very reluctant, but they didn't object. After all, wherever their boss wanted to go was not something they could control. Yang Qinxue and Yang Qinfeng were also a bit puzzled as to why the two of them would use such an excuse. However, after thinking about it, they felt that they didn't want the monsters to be sad, so they came up with such an excuse. These monsters, although strong, were extremely pure. After spending a year together, they had completely treated them as their own. Facing such people, they were very reluctant to part. "Boss, have a safe trip. Come back soon." The monsters stood in front of the gate, waving goodbye. "Let's go back." Di Bei-chun waved his hand, and the 4 of them walked out of the Holy World together. "Why do I suddenly feel like crying?" Yang Lingfeng slapped his forehead. He was actually so reluctant to part with these stupid demonic beasts. "Don't think about it. It's not like we can't come back. That's true. But to teleport to the same place twice in a random secret realm is really too difficult. Bewitching smiled faintly. I promise, we'll definitely have a chance to come back in the future. How about it? As if I believe you. Yang Lingfeng curled his lips, not taking this to heart at all. Qingyang City. When the four of them appeared on the bustling streets, they couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. It feels like it's been a long time since I've seen so many people. Yang Lingfeng sighed. I almost couldn't get used to it. Let's go, don't delay. Let's go back and see father first. Yang Qinxue patted Yang Lingfeng's head, then quickly ran in the direction of the city lord's mansion. Bailey Hongzhuang and Yang Qinxue also quickened their pace. Although Qingyang City was close to Xi'an City, there was still some distance. Fortunately, the city lord was very familiar with the affairs of Qingyang City. They could probably ask the city lord and get a general idea. Young master, young miss is back. When the servants of the city lord's mansion saw Yang Qinxue and Yang Qinxue, cheers of joy immediately spread throughout the entire city lord's mansion. Yang Han also rushed over immediately. After seeing that the four of them were safe and sound, he heaved a sigh of relief. Father, we're back. It's good that you're back. Yang Han happily patted Yang Lingfeng on the back. After taking a closer look, his expression suddenly became very strange. Your aura. Ha ha ha. Yang Lingfeng laughed. Dad, you're pretty good. I can tell at a glance. Yang Han was a little uncertain at first, but after seeing Yang Lingfeng's smug look, he immediately believed his own judgment. You really broke through? Isn't that right? How could it be fake? Yang Lingfeng's face was filled with excitement. How is it? I told you that I would be able to break through. Yang Han couldn't hide his excitement as he patted Tang Wulin's shoulder even harder. Good boy. You didn't disappoint me. Hee, I'm nothing. Beichen and Yang Qinxue are the real deal. Hearing this, Yang Han finally noticed Di Beichen and Yang Qinxue on the side. He hurriedly said, Young Master Di, look at me. Chapter 7032. After learning that 3 out of the 4 of them had broken through to the elementary celestial stage, and Yang Qinxue was the only one who had yet to break through, Yang Han's expression became very interesting. What kind of treasured land did you go to this time? How did your strength improve so much? If Di Beichen had broken through, he could still think of it as a result of his talent. After all, they already knew about the Enlightenment stele. However, Yang Lingfeng had also broken through. This proved that the place they went to this time was very good. As a father, he was very familiar with Yang Lingfeng's situation. Of course, the pills that Hong Zhuang had given him were also very helpful. That's a long story, but the place we went to this time was really a treasured land. Yang Lingfeng walked into the mansion. I'll tell you the details later. City Lord Yang, how are things in Xi'an City? Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a moment and decided to ask first. They really wanted to know how everyone was doing. Yang Han nodded slightly. Qingli came here a while ago. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion is developing very well now. There doesn't seem to be any problems. However, that Gong Jun also misses you very much. Every once in a while, he would make a trip here. Since you're already back, I think you should go back and take a look. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were relieved. After thinking for a moment, they said, in that case, we'll take our leave first. We'll go back to Xi'an City and visit again next time. You're leaving so soon? You should at least have a meal first. Yang Qinxue could not help but say. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and waved her hand. No need. We haven't been back for so long. It's better for us to go back first, so that everyone can rest assured. Seeing that the two had made up their minds, Yang Han and the others did not try to persuade them to stay. The two cities were very close, and it was very convenient to travel. You guys go first. We'll be there in 2 days. Yang Lingfeng winked and gestured to Yang Qinxue. Xi'an City, Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Boss and the others have been training for more than 2 years. Could they have encountered any danger? Bai Li Yanche shook his head. Sister and brother-in-law are very strong. They shouldn't be in any danger. Perhaps they were delayed by something else. I think so too. Linger agreed. It's just that I haven't heard from Xiaofeng recently, so I'm a little worried. Hong Zhuang had the chaos ring, so they didn't have to worry too much. Even if it wasn't that big, it wouldn't be a problem for them to hide. However, Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan had not appeared for a while. For some reason they felt uneasy. Gong Jun, do you have any news about them? No. Gong Jun had a helpless look on his face. I saw them half a year ago. They said that they were going to train, but there was no news after that. Half a year ago, there shouldn't be any problems, right? Xiaofeng and the others are different. Their training was only around here. Beichen and the others went to the secret realm to train. Those who go to the secret realm usually spend a lot of time there. But since they're training around here, it shouldn't be too long. Linger thought for a moment and said, Gong Jun, how often did they appear when they were training? Chapter 70-33. Maybe they had a fortuitous encounter this time, so they were delayed for a while? Gong Jun asked. Bai Li Yanche and Ling both fell into silence. This kind of thing they couldn't say for sure. Speaking of which, Zhong Li and the others haven't been here for a while. Gong Jun thought for a while and said, Zhong Li and the others have always been elusive. It's better for us to stay away from them. Bai Li Yanche said slowly. Why? Zhong Li has always been a troublemaker. I don't know what the elders told him, but he's basically a troublemaker. However, this guy's strength isn't something that ordinary people can compare to, so he isn't in any danger. Injuries are normal for him. Bai Li Yanche shook his head. He still remembered the last time he saw Zhong Li Mu. His ability to cause trouble made him speechless. Fortunately, his partner is Yin Ju. These two guys are very abnormal. Linger couldn't help but sigh. Zhong Li Mu was like a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of tigers. With the guidance of the elders, ordinary cultivators in the chaotic immortal realm were no match for him. Although Mo Yunjue wasn't like that, he had always been a powerful guy. Causing trouble? As the young master of the Shirtian Pavilion, he had never been afraid. As for injuries, it was completely normal for him. This combination was simply too perfect. Hearing this, Gong Jun's expression couldn't help but change. What you said makes sense. Then let him find you in the future. It's better for him not to come to my immortal treasure pavilion. Just as the three of them were talking, a group of cultivators suddenly rushed in. Attack! Smash it for me! Seeing this, Gong Jun hurriedly stepped forward and said, Who are you people? What do you want? Where is that kid Zhong Li Mu? The man in the lead stared at Gong Jun aggressively. As long as you hand that kid over, we'll let you go today. If you don't hand him over, don't open your shop. Bang bang bang. In the blink of an eye, 2 counters had been smashed. Gong Jun was dumbfounded. How could there be such a coincidence? They had just mentioned Zhong Li Mu, and now someone was here to smash the store? Almost immediately, Gong Jun came up with an idea and said, You must be mistaken. I don't know the person you're talking about. The man in the lead hesitated for a moment before he sneered. Don't lie to me. I heard a fellow with the surname Wen tell Zhong Li Mu that this immortal treasure pavilion is owned by one of our own. If there's anything you need, just take it on credit. Anyway, the boss will pay for it. Our relationship has already reached this point. And you're still telling me that there's nothing between us? Who are you trying to fool? Gong Jun's face also turned green. Once credit was mentioned, he knew that this guy must be Xiren 1. Z. Of course. It was one thing for this fellow to buy things on credit, but now he was urging Zhong Li Mu to buy things on credit as well. This was simply intolerable. When boss comes back, he will definitely complain. Bai Li Yanche and Ling looked at each other. They always knew that Xiren 1 was bad, but they didn't expect him to be this bad. Now you finally admitted it. The man's face was ferocious as he said aggressively, You know these 2 fellas? Where are they? Tell me. Chapter 70-34. I really don't know. I'm not that familiar with them. They can buy on credit without paying. And you're saying you're not familiar with them? Only a fool would believe that. The man snorted. You're not going to tell us? Smash it. Bai Li Yanche and Ling immediately rushed out. Stop. A fight broke out in an instant. Gong Jun also shouted. Don't fight, don't fight. If you want to fight, fight outside. In the blink of an eye, the customers in the Immortal Treasure Pavilion had disappeared without a trace. Although Bai Li Yanqei and Ling tried their best to stop these people, they were also in the Radiant Sun realm. Even if they could stop them, they couldn't stop them from outnumbering them. There were more than 10 people, and they could only stop a few of them. Gong Jun's eyes instantly turned red. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion was a business he had painstakingly built. How could he let these people destroy it? I'm warning you. If you don't leave, I'll go to the City Lord's residence to find someone. You should have heard that our Immortal Treasure Pavilion is under the protection of the City Lord's residence. Hearing this, the man in the lead frowned. He had heard this news before coming, but he wasn't too sure. Seeing that they were surrounded by people, and that Gong Jun's aura didn't seem to be fake, he raised his hand and said, "Let's go. I'm warning you. It's useless even if Zhongli Mu hides. We'll find him. Someone from the City Lord's residence is here." Suddenly, a loud shout came from outside. The person who was talking tough didn't dare to delay any longer. He called out to his men and quickly ran away. "Let's go. Stinking brat, you're running pretty fast." Gong Jun stood outside the door and looked outside angrily. These guys actually smashed his shop into such a state. Looking at the proud face of the shopkeeper of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion, he felt even more unhappy. This Zhongli Mu is really a troublemaker. When he comes back, I'll definitely make him pay for the losses. After roaring for a while, Gong Jun looked at the waiter outside and said, "You're quite smart. You know how to scare these guys away with these words." The waiter smiled awkwardly. "Shopkeeper, I wasn't the one who shouted those words. I was just about to shout, but before I could." "Ah." Gong Jun was stunned. "Then who was the one shouting just now?" "I was the one who shouted." Hearing this voice, Gong Jun hurriedly turned his head and saw Bai Qingli slowly walking over. "Master Bai, I happened to pass by and heard about this." Bai Qingli sighed. "I promised Beichen that I would take good care of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. I didn't expect something like this to happen. Master Bai, this has nothing to do with you. This is all because of Zhongli Mu. He is good at causing trouble, so you don't have to worry about it." Gong Jun waved his hand. "That's right." Bai Li Yanqei nodded. "Zhongli Mu caused trouble. When the time comes, let him deal with it himself." Bai Qingli smiled faintly. Those people just now looked very unfamiliar. "I don't think they're from our Xi'an city." "I think so too," Gong Jun replied. "That brat Zhongli usually goes to other cities to cause trouble. I just didn't expect that he would be chased all the way here this time." Bai Li Yanqei spread out his hands with a helpless expression. Gong Jun's face fell. "When he appears, I'll definitely make him pay for it." Chapter 70-35. Boss hasn't been back for more than 2 years. That guy has already owed me a lot of things. Gong Jun narrowed his eyes and said resentfully, "It's bad enough that he cheated me, but now he's dragging Zhongli Mu into it. This is intolerable." Bai Li Yanqei and the other two looked at Gong Jun's indignant expression and laughed inwardly. This time they couldn't help Xiren. This was too much. "Is there still no news from Beichen and the others?" Bai Qingli asked. "Nope." Gong Jun shook his head. "If boss has left the secret realm, he should be back soon. I wonder what kind of secret realm it is that made them stay for so long." "Of course it's an excellent secret realm." A voice as warm as the sea sounded from outside. Then, 2 figures slowly stepped into the shop. "It's been 2 years since we last met. This shop has expanded quite a bit." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the shop's signboard. The signboard had been replaced and was much bigger than before. The 2 shops next to it had also become Immortal Treasure Pavilions. Overall, the shop had doubled in size. It was obvious that it had developed well in the past 2 years. However, when she walked in, she found that the shop had been smashed into a mess. She immediately frowned. What happened? Hearing this familiar voice, Gong Jun and the others' eyes lit up. When they saw the 2 familiar figures outside, everyone's faces were filled with joy. "Boss, you're finally back." Gong Jun rushed to Di Beichen emotionally and said with tears in his eyes, "If you didn't come back, I would have lost my life." Seeing Gong Jun's bitter expression, Di Beichen asked, "What happened?" Boss, take a look at this place. I spent so much effort to make the Immortal Treasure Pavilion big. However, the trouble Zhongli Mu caused the shop to be smashed to this extent. And that one Xiren, every time he comes, he always buys on credit. My little store is about to go bankrupt. Bewitching was relieved to hear this. Since Gong Jun could still joke like this, it proved that there was no big problem. Sister, you're back. Bai Li Yanche and Linger walked over with smiles on their faces. We were just wondering why you weren't back yet. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. We have indeed spent quite a bit of time on this training. How has everyone been recently? Everything is fine. Bai Li Yanche nodded. But the situation is just like what Gong Jun said. I'm not surprised that Zhongli got into trouble. It would be strange if he didn't. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. It seemed that during this period of time, Zhongli had really carried out the senior's words to the end. Actually, Zhongli is quite good like this. Among us, his and Yunju's strength has improved the fastest, Linger said. Bewitching looked at Bai Qingli. I didn't expect you to be here too. Thank you for your help in Immortal Treasure Pavilion during this period of time. Bai Qingli waved her hand. I didn't help much. It's all Gong Jun's credit. Gong Jun chuckled. Boss, shouldn't you reward me well? Seeing that this guy was not modest at all, Bewitching helplessly raised his eyes. This shop was originally yours. Chapter 7036. I reckon that should be the case. Bai Li Yanche nodded. Perhaps Zhongli and the others will come to find us tonight. Then let's wait. Gong Jun, once we find Zhongli, it won't be too late for you to ask him for compensation. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly. It had been a very long time since they had gathered together. Bai Qingli had been smiling as she watched the group chat enthusiastically. She opened her mouth, but in the end, she held back and said nothing. Noticing this, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke first. You want to ask about Qinshua's situation, right? Ah, yes, Bai Qingli nodded. Have they returned? They've returned, but they're still in Qingyang City. That's good. Bai Qingli revealed a comfortable smile. Bewitching glanced at Bai Qingli and said, You should hurry up. It's not good to keep a girl waiting for you all the time. Bai Qingli was slightly taken aback. When she came back to her senses, a hint of guilt appeared on her face. I really shouldn't have. Bai Li Yanche and the others also looked at Bai Qingli curiously. Speaking of which, although Beichen and the others were familiar with each other, Bai Qingli was not that familiar with them. Beichen, if you have time, can I ask you a few questions tonight? Bai Qingli asked hesitantly. When she said this, everyone's expressions became slightly ambiguous. Beichen glanced at Bai Qingli, his deep eyes shining with wisdom. All right. At night, Beichen and Bai Qingli agreed to meet at a restaurant. Bailey Hongzhuang, Bai Li Yanche and the others gathered together. After not returning for so long, she did miss them a little. Where do Zhongli and the others usually go when they come back? Should we just go and wait for them? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Gong Jun, who was gritting his teeth and muttering nonstop. She felt that if they did not find Zhongli soon, who knew when this fellow would stop muttering? Usually, when Zhongli gets into trouble, he won't go to his own place. You guys haven't been around recently, so it's most likely that he'll come directly to us. We'll stay here. If he comes back, we'll know immediately. Bai Li Yanche smiled faintly. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. So you've already thought of it. Wait patiently. According to our experience, he will definitely appear tonight. Linger chuckled. Gong Jun, you can look for him when the time comes. Just as they were talking, there was some movement outside. Yanche, are you there? Zhongli Mu and Mo Yunjua jumped in through the window. When they saw everyone, their eyes were filled with joy. Sister Hongzhuang, when did you come back? Zhongli Mu heaved a sigh of relief. We made a mistake this time. I didn't expect those fellows to be so capable. They actually chased us all the way to Xi'an City. Initially, I was worried that we wouldn't be able to defeat them in a direct confrontation. But now that you and Beichen are back, we don't have to worry anymore. Haha. Bailey Hongzhuang looked around and said, Which eye of yours saw Beichen? Zhongli Mu smiled and waved his hand. Whenever you're around, When has Big Brother Bachin ever left? Don't tell me you can leave the secret realm by yourself without him? That's impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang. That seems to make sense. But now doesn't seem to be the time to talk about this. Zhong Limu was a little confused. Why? Chapter 7037. Zhong Limu turned his head, and only then did he notice Gong Jun, who looked like he wanted to kill him at any moment. He was dumbfounded. What's going on? What's going on? Gong Jun gritted his teeth as he glared at Zhong Limu. It's all thanks to you that my shop was wrecked today. Zhong Limu was stunned. He looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, who looked like they were praying for their own good. Then he looked at Gong Jun, who was closing in on him. He hurriedly said, "They ran into the shop? This was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. All right, what do you think we should do? I'll do it, all right?" Zhong Limu kept retreating. His forced smile was filled with guilt. "You have to compensate me for all my losses." Compensate? Zhong Limu's expression changed. Can't we use another method? Then I'll just kill you. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Bai Liyan-che, who smiled and said, Zhongli is poor, or else Xiren wouldn't have suggested that he buy on credit. Since he's been causing trouble, even if he's robbing, he should have a lot of resources, right? Then you're wrong. Bai Liyan-che shook his head. Zhongli puts all his focus on fighting and causing trouble to increase his strength. He doesn't pay much attention to money. Even if he gets a good treasure, he'll use it whenever he can. Why would he keep it? That's why Zhongli is about to break through to the elementary immortal stage. Linger added. Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood. Thinking about it carefully, based on the environment Zhongli grew up in, he definitely wouldn't care about all this. He probably didn't even have such a concept in his head. Sister Hongzhuang, save me. Zhong Limu was being choked by Gong Jun. Faced with Mo Yunjue's indifference, he could only ask Bailey Hongzhuang for help. You, on account of my grandfather, hurry and save me. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head helplessly and said, Gong Jun, let go. I won't let go. Gong Jun wasn't satisfied. This guy caused me a lot of losses today. It's okay to bully me, but smashing my shop, that's a big deal. I can't take this lying down. Bai Liyan-che and the rest looked at Gong Jun usually. This guy had always been like a bun. At first, he thought that the reason why he was acting like this was just for show. But it seemed that he was serious. How much did you lose? I'll compensate you. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice sounded again. Okay. Gong Jun immediately let go. He ignored Zhong Limu, who was panting loudly, and ran over to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Sister-in-law, I'll listen to whatever you say. Hehe. You didn't say anything just now. In the past 2 years, Bachin and I have made quite a number of array stones and pills while we were practicing. Here you go. Bailey Hongzhuang took out her Qingquan bag and handed it to Gong Jun. She and Bachin made these for practice. She didn't need them for the time being. It just so happened that Gong Jun's shop needed these. It couldn't be any better. Thank you, sister-in-law. Gong Jun excitedly took the Qingquan bag. He knew that his boss and sister-in-law would never let him down. Chapter 7038. Sister-in-law, you're my sister-in-law. The excitement on Gong Jun's face was overflowing with words. The things inside were simply too rich. Thinking back to when boss and the others left, he had to deal with everything in the store by himself. In the beginning, it was very difficult. But since his reputation had been established, it wasn't too difficult to do things. Now that he saw so many pills and array stones that he didn't need to spend any effort on, he only felt that it was too blissful. Seeing Gong Jun's excited look, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her hand. Stay away from me. Oh, okay. Seeing that the matter had been resolved, Zhong Limu breathed a sigh of relief and happily went up to Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, thank you so much. Xiren was right, you're really a treasure bag. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. If you mention Xiren again, there may be a bloody storm tonight. This guy, not only did he sell Bachin, he even sold her out? Zhong Limu was startled, then he reacted and hurriedly smiled. I won't say. No. Gong Jun jumped in front of Zhong Limu. Where's that guy now? I want to find him and settle the score with him. Over the past 2 years, he has owed me quite a lot of things. I met him a while ago when I was training, but I didn't see him after that. I don't know where he went. Zhongli Mu turned to look at Mo Yunjue. Yunjue, do you remember what they said? Mo Yunjue thought for a moment. We met them half a month ago. It said that they were planning to find Xiaofeng, but at that time we had just provoked those guys, so we didn't have time to say much and left. That's true. Zhongli Mu scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. At that time, we were being hunted down. We just happened to meet them on the way, and left after exchanging a few words. After all, we're already used to it. But we can't drag Xiren and the others down with us. Langer's lips twitched slightly. Fortunately, you still have some self-awareness. Xiren and the others went to look for Big Brother? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Didn't you say that Big Brother hasn't been back for a long time? Bailey Yanche nodded slightly. Indeed, it's been a long time since we've seen them. Although we've been running around a lot, we've always made a trip back to the Immortal Treasure Pavilion when we're back. It's also a way to let everyone know about each other. It has been nearly half a year since Xiaofeng and the others last appeared. Originally, we were going to go look for them, if you didn't come back. Then you haven't heard Xiren mention this? No. Langer shook her head. Yanche and I just came back a few days ago. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze fall on him, Gong Jun waved his hand. I really haven't seen them. Xiren owes me a lot of things, so he usually avoids me. Even if he goes to the store, it's when I'm not around. That guy is so sneaky, how would I know? Bailey Hongzhuang felt helpless. Gong Jun's words were true. Chapter 7039. Yunjue, where did you meet them? Waterheart City in the south. Mo Yunjue replied. Waterheart City was a city that was quite a distance away from Xi'an City. Even if one were to rush to Waterheart City from here, it would still take a few days. Can you tell if the place they were heading to was Waterheart City or not? Mo Yunjue pondered for a moment. I can't be sure for the time being. At that time, they looked like they were in a hurry, but I think they should be near Waterheart City. In that case, why don't we go to Waterheart City and take a look? Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it, and gave up on the idea of asking Gong Jun to inquire about the information, because the distance was too far. If it wasn't far, Gong Jun could inquire about the information relatively quickly. However, if it was a city far away, it would take more than half a month to go back and forth. It would be a waste of time waiting for news here. It was better to go and take a look in person. Everyone nodded. Beichen and the others hadn't come back for so long, because they had already said that they were going to the secret territory to gain experience. If Xiaofeng and the others were really going to a place far away, they would have at least told them in advance. It was indeed suspicious that there was no news for so long. Don't worry too much, their strength is not bad. Mo Yunjue comforted. Bailey Hongzhuang pursed her lips and smiled. I hope I'm just overthinking it. When Di Beichen came back, everyone had already returned to their rooms. How was your chat with Qingli? Bailey Hongzhuang asked with a smile. He has already gone to Qingyang City. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. It seems that you are quite powerful. Wife, you just know. Di Beichen pulled Bailey Hongzhuang to sit on his lap. Zhongli and the others are back. Beichen, there's something I want to tell you. She immediately told him about Di Xiaofeng and the others. After hearing all this, Di Beichen's expression became complicated. Then let's set off early. Looking at the man's furrowed brows, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but say, don't think too much. Maybe it's just a fortuitous encounter. Di Beichen looked at her deeply and said, do you think so? Facing that clear gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but lower her head. After a moment of silence, she said, the possibility of this is indeed not high. Unless they accidentally entered some secret realm and couldn't come out for a while. If that wasn't the case, then in a city, even if they really encountered something, they could find someone to send back some information. They understood Xiaofeng's character. He wasn't an impulsive person. On the contrary, he had always done things methodically. Prepare everything that needs to be prepared. I'm afraid we have to speed up. After making the decision, The two of them didn't waste any time. No one knew what kind of situation Xiao Feng and the others had encountered. The only thing they could hope for was that they were doing well. Leave a note. When they see it tomorrow, they will know where we are going. Bailey Hongzhuang wrote a note and left it in the room. It was already late, and everyone was probably resting. However, when Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the room and prepared to go to Water Heart City, they were suddenly surprised to find that Mo Yunjue and the others were already waiting outside. No need to say more. Let's go quickly. Maybe they are waiting for our help. Mo Yunjue smiled faintly. Chapter 70-40. When Gong Jun woke up the next day, he found that everyone who had gathered together had disappeared. He was immediately dumbfounded. What's going on? Why is there no one here? It was not until he saw the note in the room that he realized that his boss had set off in advance. He immediately ran back to Immortal Treasure Pavilion and gave some instructions before rushing to Water Heart City. It will take us nearly 10 days to reach the Water Heart City from here. However, we can't be sure if they are in the Water Heart City. Therefore, I'm afraid that we will have to split up and check out the two nearby cities. As Di Bei-chun hurried along, he used the map to determine the locations of the nearby cities. So far, there were only 2 cities that were closest to the Water Heart City, so they needed to split into 3 groups to take a look at these places. No problem. Mo Yunjue nodded. They had 3 pairs of people here. Therefore, there was no problem for them to go to 3 different cities. No matter what the situation is, if we can't solve it for the time being, we can't act rashly. Get someone else to inform the others. Di Bei-chun said in a deep voice. Looking at the dignified expression on the man's face, the others did not say anything. Xiao Feng and the others were not weak. If they were really trapped, it could be seen that the other party was not a simple character. Don't worry. We won't act rashly. Good. Water Heart City. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chun arrived at Water Heart City together. The others went to the 2 nearby cities. They could not be sure about the others for the time being. However, since Xiren and the others had appeared here, they should still have some clues. Let's go to the most famous restaurant in Water Heart City first. Bailey Hongzhuang looked around and immediately made a decision. When Xiren had always been a foodie, basically, whenever he went to a place, he would choose a famous local restaurant to have a taste. According to what Yinju said, Xiren and Xiao Feng should not be in a hurry at that time. Therefore, they still had the intention to try the food. Di Bei-chun was also very familiar with Xiren's habits. The two of them only needed to ask a few questions before they found out about the most famous restaurant in the city. After entering the restaurant, the two did not sit together. Bailey Hongzhuang went directly to the 2nd floor and asked for a private room. She called the waiter over and asked about what had happened in the city these days. Di Bei-chun, on the other hand, was sitting in the main hall, listening to everyone's discussion. If Xiaofeng and the others were in trouble in the city, then the commotion should be quite big. Maybe he could get some useful information. Boom. Bailey Hongzhuang took out a pill and placed it on the table. Tell me what happened in the city recently, and this pill is yours. The attendant was slightly taken aback. When he figured out what kind of pill it was, a look of desire appeared in his eyes. Miss, don't worry. I will tell you everything I know. You can ask me about the things in the city. Basically, there is nothing in the streets and alleys that I don't know. Bailey Hongzhuang quietly listened to the attendant talk about all kinds of recent gossip in Water Heart City. She could not help but gradually frown. Among these news, there did not seem to be anything related to Xiaofeng. After noticing Bailey Hongzhuang's expression, the attendant's expression became more nervous. Miss, I have already told you the hottest news recently. Why don't you tell me what it is, so that I can tell you? Chapter 70-41. Miss, this kind of thing happens all the time. The waiter thought for a moment. Usually, there are quite a few of us who come here. It's even more common to accidentally offend the local tyrants. However, most of these people don't have a good ending. They basically lose their lives. Bailey Hongzhuang's heart sank. This was not a good sign. If you want to talk about a more prominent matter recently, it should be the matter that happened 3 months ago. What matter? This matter actually did not happen in our Heartwater City. It happened in the nearby Pingfeng City. The Pingfeng City's Ning family is also a large family, and their status in the city runs deep. It's said that they seem to have obtained some kind of treasure, but it was snatched away by 2 outsiders. This matter had caused quite a stir. The Ning clan would not let such a thing go unchecked. They chased after him all the way. In the end, the 2 people seemed to have hidden in the Pingchuan mountain range. As for what happened after that, I'm not sure. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes gradually turned serious. Do you know if the 2 people were a man or a woman? It seems to be a man and a woman. Other than that, do you know anything else about this matter? Bailey Hongzhuang pressed on. The waiter shook his head slightly. I heard this news from the cultivators who passed by Pingfeng City. That's all I know. That's right. Half a month ago. Did a man and woman come here to inquire about information or order a bunch of food? Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a moment and asked again. The waiter's eyes lit up, and he nodded repeatedly. Miss, you're right. About half a month ago, a man and a woman came here and ordered all our signature dishes. I was the one who served them at that time. Bailey Hongzhuang understood. It seemed that their judgment was not wrong. Xiren's character was very easy to judge. Alright, I got it. Bailey Hongzhuang turned and walked out of the private room. The waiter excitedly received the elixir. Just by answering a few questions, he was able to get such revenge. It was really worth it. Downstairs, Bailey Hongzhuang sat down beside Bewitching. Level Peak City. Level Peak City, the 2 of them said in unison. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Is this very sensational? Those over there should be cultivators from Level Peak City. They happen to be discussing this matter. Bailey Hongzhuang listened carefully. She could still hear the other party's conversation, but it was more of a joke. Let's go. We'll head to Level Peak City first. Although the distance between Shuixin City and Level Peak City was close, they were still 2 cities. Rather than asking people here to inquire about the situation in Flat Peak City, it was better to head there directly. Presumably, this matter had blown up so big that anyone in Flat Peak City would be able to find out by simply asking. As for whether or not the main characters were Di Xiaofeng and Di Xiaofeng, even if they weren't completely sure, they understood that they were indeed too similar. The 2 of them rushed to Level Summit City without stopping. Coincidentally, Zhongli and Mu were also there. As soon as they entered the city, Zhongli Mu appeared beside them. How did you know that we would come? Bailey Hongzhuang was a little surprised. Zhongli Mu had appeared so quickly. It was as if he had been waiting for them. Zhongli Mu smiled slightly. Brother Yunjue is amazing. He had already predicted that you would come here very quickly, so he asked me to wait for you here. Chapter 7042. I'll take you there. Following Zhongli Mu, the 2 of them entered an inn and went up to the 2nd floor. You're here. Mo Yunjue's expression was serious. You've heard the general news, right? Yes, I've heard. Bewitching nodded. What's the situation like now? Our big brother and the others still in the Pingchuan mountain range? Bailey Hongzhuang asked worriedly. Mo Yunjue shook his head. I heard that Yin Yin was captured a few days ago, and Xiaofeng was forced to show himself. You mean they're in the Ning family now? That's right. Mo Yunjue nodded. However, the situation now is a little tricky. I heard that the Ning family has a powerful cultivator in the elementary celestial stage. It's because of him that Yin Yin was captured. Plus, there are many cultivators in the Ning family. With our strength, the Ning family, a group of cultivators were gathered together. Behind them, a woman was chained to a cross. Swoosh. A whip lashed the woman's body viciously, leaving a bloody mark on her clothes. At this moment, the woman's clothes were dyed red with blood. The whip had left hideous wounds on her body. Blood and her clothes were intertwined, revealing her misery and despair. How dare you lay your hands on something that belongs to the Ning family? You deserve to be beaten to death. Swoosh. The woman's face was as white as a sheet. She looked as if she would faint at any moment. But in the next moment, she was awakened by the intense pain. Just kill me. The woman raised her eyes and looked at the crowd with a mournful expression. These people had been torturing her in various ways, but were unwilling to take her life directly. You want to die? The man chuckled. You've offended us. Do you think we'll let you die so easily? Your lover is still a man. He can't bear to see his woman suffer, so he came to us himself. Hearing this, the expressionless woman suddenly raised her head. Her expression was one of disbelief. Impossible, he wouldn't come. Bring him in. The man waved his hand, and a handsome man was brought in. When the Ning family's women saw the man's jade-like handsome appearance, a trace of amazement appeared in their eyes. Xiaofeng. Bailey Yunyan's eyes widened. She had never shed a tear even when she was beaten up, but the moment she saw the man appear, she couldn't help but tear up. Didn't I tell you to leave me alone? Why are you still here? From the moment she was captured, she knew that her life was in danger. As a cultivator, this kind of situation was very normal. At that time, she had clearly warned him repeatedly not to look for her. It was fine if she died, but she definitely couldn't implicate Xiaofeng. But now that Xiaofeng had appeared here, wasn't that the same as courting death? Yunyan. Di Xiaofeng looked at Bailey Yunyan, who was covered in blood, and his eyes instantly turned red. You bastards! She's just a girl, how can you treat her like this? You're feeling sorry for her. The man's eyes were filled with cold laughter. Don't worry, your end will be even worse than hers. The man waved his hand and said, Men, break one of his legs. Let's see if he can still run. A man from the crowd walked forward, his gaze sinister and vicious. Chapter 70-43. What will it take for you to let her go? Di Xiaofeng stared coldly at the man opposite him. The man narrowed his eyes and covered the right side of his face with one hand. There was a hideous wound there. You left such a mark on my face, so I naturally have to repay you. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were cold. As long as you let her go, I don't care how many wounds you leave on my face. Heh, the man chuckled maliciously. You think that's enough? Dream on. I want to see you in pain and consign you to eternal damnation. Break his legs first, then I'll see how he's going to be so smug. The man then looked at Di Xiaofeng. If you dare to resist, this woman will immediately die in front of you. Di Xiaofeng stood rooted to the ground and looked at Bailey Yunyan, who was already in tears. A gorgeous smile bloomed on his lips. Close your eyes, it's no big deal. No, don't. Bailey Yunyan shook her head frantically. She might as well kill Bailey Yunyan directly, if she had to watch Di Xiaofeng suffer such humiliation. Wait. At this moment a woman stood out. The woman's figure was enchanting, and her bright red dress outlined her enchanting figure. Her bright face exuded a seductive aura. Ning Yaoyao, what are you doing? The man looked at Ning Yaoyao, who suddenly walked over and frowned. Ning Yaoyao didn't answer. Instead, she walked to Di Xiaofeng's side and sized him up clearly. The corners of her lips continued to rise. Her hand brushed across Di Xiaofeng's face. The latter turned his head away in disgust, his brows filled with disgust. Ning Yaoyao chuckled and bit her red lips before turning to look at the man behind her. I've taken a liking to this man. Ning Yang was stunned and looked at Ning Yaoyao in astonishment. This guy stole our things. What do you mean? That's exactly what I meant. Ning Yaoyao laughed. It's rare to find such a handsome man. Wouldn't it be a pity if he was crippled like this? As for this thing, didn't we already get it back? It's not a big deal. Look at my face. It's all because of this guy. Ning Yang's face was filled with unwillingness. However, Ning Yaoyao's cultivation was higher than his, and her status in the clan was also higher than his. His attitude could not be too tough. It's just a wound, it will heal sooner or later. Ning Yaoyao said indifferently. Didn't you already do whatever you want with that woman? This man. Give him to me. This sudden turn of events caused everyone present to be a little startled. Bailey Yunyan was startled, and then she nodded frantically at Di Xiaofeng. Right now she didn't care about anything, as long as Xiaofeng could live. Even if she had to feign civility for a moment, with Xiaofeng's strength, she believed that leaving this place wouldn't be a problem. Yao Yao needs a man for her daily cultivation, and a handsome man like this is something that can only be found by chance. It's no wonder that she would step forward at this time. If you ask me, I'd rather die than follow Yao Yao. In any case, the final outcome can't be changed. That's not necessarily the case. Dying under a peony is also a romantic thing. At least it's a quick death, isn't it? A string of male chuckles sounded, with a hint of evil intentions. Chapter 7044. It was rare to see such a handsome man on a normal day. Previously, she only knew that her family was chasing such a person, but she didn't pay much attention. Because this wasn't the first time such a thing had happened in her family. Every once in a while, there would always be some blind guy appearing. However, the man in front of her was better looking than any man she had seen before, which really moved her heart. How about it? Are you willing to go with me? Ning Yaoyao looked at Di Xiaofeng with a smile. Her every frown and smile was charming. However, Di Xiaofeng didn't even look at her, not interested. Hearing this, Ning Yaoyao's expression changed slightly and her eyes narrowed. This woman is already dead for sure. If you don't agree, you will also die here today. So what? Di Xiaofeng's lips curved into a mocking smile. He came here today with no intention of leaving alive. He couldn't abandon Yunyan. When they got married, he had promised. His rhetorical question made Ning Yaoyao fall silent. Ning Yaoyao, this guy doesn't even appreciate your kindness. Why waste time on him? Ning Yang was looking forward to killing Di Xiaofeng with his own hands. Now that he saw him refuse, he was simply too happy. Do it. Ning Yang stood beside Bailey Yunyan with a dagger in his hand, the dagger pressed against her throat. Bang! Kacha! The crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. Di Xiaofeng knelt on the ground. The intense pain didn't make him frown. His eyes fell on Bailey Yunyan from beginning to end. Xiaofeng! Bailey Yunyan screamed. The pain in her heart was indescribable. Such a scene was enough to break one's heart. Di Xiaofeng's lips curved slightly. His pale face bloomed with a dazzling smile like the sun. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Outside the Ning clan. Xiren, what should we do? Shangguan Yingying anxiously looked at the man beside her. She was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. This Pingfeng city is really too far from Xiyun city. We can't find help in a short time. Xiaofeng appearing there now is simply courting death. But we can't beat them even if we go in. Xiren's expression was solemn. He was also so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. However, in the current situation, they had no other choice but to rely on themselves. If only Hong Zhuang was here. Even if she couldn't beat us, she could still poison us. The man sighed. Over the past few days, in order to avoid the pursuit of these fellows in the Screen Mountain range, they had used up all the poison in their bodies. If they went in to fight, they would only be throwing the two of them into danger. No one in Level Peak City is willing to offend the Ning clan. Besides, we don't have many resources on us. There's no way the other party would believe us. Their expressions were extremely grave, but they couldn't think of any other way. If this continues, they will lose their lives here. Xiren was vexed. If I knew the situation here would be like this, I would have called Yunju and the others over. After a while, Xiren seemed to have made an important decision. He looked seriously at Shangguan Yingying. Yingying, I can't just watch Xiaofeng and the others lose their lives. In a while I will go in. No matter what, I have to try my best. You go and pass this news back. When Beichen and the others come back, they will definitely avenge us. Chapter 7045. During this period of time, they had already seen the strength of the Ning family, so they knew the gap between them and the Ning family. Not to mention the fact that the Ning family had a large number of people. The fact that the Ning family had an expert in the elementary celestial stage meant that they were doomed. Don't worry, maybe the situation is not that bad. I still have some bombs that Hong Zhuang made. Maybe they can be of some use. When Xiren rummaged through his storage ring, and suddenly discovered that there was a brocade pouch here. This brocade pouch? It seems that this was given to you by Beichen? Shangguan Yingying said in surprise. Beichen said that if you need help, you can open it and have a look. Maybe it will be helpful. Xiren suddenly remembered that when Di Beichen gave him the brocade pouch, he thought it was funny, and did not take it seriously. As he opened the brocade pouch, He found a talisman in it. This is a transmission talisman? Xiren looked at the talisman in his hand carefully and identified the type of talisman. A transmission talisman? Shangguan Yingying's eyes lit up. She quickly found a similar brocade pouch in her cosmos bag and said, I have one here too. The two of them were stunned. If they had known about this thing, they would not have been in such a situation. I am really. Xiren held his forehead. Why didn't he notice it? Previously, when Bei Chen had given him the item, he had thought that Bei Chen's action was superfluous and did not take it to heart at all. In the past few years, there were a lot of things in his storage ring, so he had forgotten about it. If he had not rummaged through all the things in his storage ring, he would not have noticed it at all. But it seems that there are only 2 transmission talismans. Shangguan Yingying thought for a while and said, when Bei Chen gave it to us, it was still early. Xiaofeng and the others had not come to the realm of chaos yet. I think it has been too long. Maybe even Bei Chen has forgotten about it. Yingying, give me your teleportation talisman. I'll try to save them. When Xiren looked at the teleportation talisman in his hand, with these 2 teleportation talismans, at least 2 of them would be able to leave safely. Shangguan Yingying nodded slightly and said, this teleportation talisman was made by Bei Chen. It doesn't seem to be very far, but it can help you escape temporarily. You have to be careful. When Xiren nodded heavily, it was better for one person to die than both of them. At least it gave them a chance to survive. If only Bei Chen was here, I wouldn't have to worry so much. In the next moment, Xiren forcefully pulled Shangguan Yingying into his arms, greedy for that familiar warmth. Raising his head again, he kissed Shangguan Yingying's forehead and said seriously, Yingying, I'm leaving. Shangguan Yingying's eyes were filled with tears. She nodded slightly and said, okay. Almost everyone in the Ning clan was watching the show, so no one noticed when Xiren, who had climbed over the wall. When he saw the situation clearly, he was furious, and the veins on his forehead bulged. These bastards! Bang! Just as Ning Yang was about to destroy Di Xiaofeng's proud face with the dagger, a shocking explosion suddenly sounded. Then they were shocked to find that their door was suddenly blown away. Blown away. Chapter 7046. Damn it! Which bastard did this? Ning Yang's face was filled with rage. Everyone present was enraged. Someone actually dared to blow up the main gate of their Ning clan. This was simply a slap in the face. When Di Xiaofeng saw the sudden commotion, his expression couldn't help but change slightly. He almost immediately guessed who did this. Xiren. Di Xiaofeng muttered. Di Xiaofeng murmured. Was what he said not clear enough? This guy. Xiren didn't care about the roaring Ning Yang at all. He continued to throw bombs in all directions. Since he couldn't beat these guys, he might as well anger them to death and make them angry. Who knows, he might make a mistake. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of explosions continued to ring out in the Ning clan's territory. The huge commotion instantly attracted many people, especially the fact that the main gate had been blown open. The people of the Ning clan didn't react at first, but they soon noticed when Xiren on the roof. Their expressions suddenly became very ugly. I didn't expect you to have helpers? Ning Yang looked at Xiren and then at Di Xiaofeng. His originally nervous expression returned to normal. I thought it would be an amazing helper, but it's just a Radiant Sun Realm guy. Don't tell me you don't know the strength of our Ning clan? Even if you come, you'll only be courting death. The Ning clan members present also looked relaxed. If the other party had a large group of people, perhaps they would be a little afraid. However, it was only one person. The so-called rescue was simply courting death. Xiren, hurry up and leave. Di Xiaofeng's expression was serious. He wanted to be with Yin Yan, so he had already disregarded his life and death. However, he couldn't implicate Xiren. Xiren chuckled. Xiaofeng, are you kidding? I promised Bei Chen that I would take good care of you. If something happens to you, how am I going to explain it to Bei Chen? What time is it now? Still pretending to be a hero? A hint of coldness appeared in Ning Yang's eyes. With just a glance, the 2 cultivators beside him had already leaped onto the roof. Catch that guy for me. With a leap, Xiren landed beside Bei Chen. You don't have to do it. I'll do it myself. Yo, this guy is interesting. Ning Yang looked at Xiren suspiciously. If the other party showed a nervous expression, he would feel more at ease. But the other party's relaxed manner made him feel uneasy. Could it be that this person still had a backup plan? After all, under such circumstances, coming here alone was no different from courting death. At the same time, Di Xiaofeng also asked Xiren, "What are you doing?" "I'm here to save you," Xiren smiled. "Look at you, you've become like this in the blink of an eye." Di Xiaofeng was a little suspicious. This guy's behavior was indeed a little strange. While looking at Di Xiaofeng, Xiren took the opportunity to hand the teleportation talisman to him. This is a teleportation talisman. As long as you crush it, you'll be able to leave this place. In a while, when I'm dealing with them, take the opportunity to give the other talisman to Yun Yan. Do you understand? Di Xiaofeng quietly put away the teleportation talisman. His eyes were filled with suspicion. Where did you get this? Chapter 7047. They had met before, but they didn't have a teleportation talisman. I forgot that Beichin left it for me. Xiren felt a little guilty. How could he forget such a good escape talisman? What a waste. Di Xiaofeng's expression became very complicated, but he didn't say anything in the end. Ning Yang and the others didn't know what the two were talking about, but from their expressions, they could tell that they were communicating. "Kid, since you're here today, why don't you stay and not leave?" Ning Yang looked at Xiren coldly. This guy had suddenly caused such a big commotion. Many people in the city had come to see him make a fool of himself. If he didn't deal with him as soon as possible, who knew what kind of news would spread tomorrow? Xiren looked at Ning Yang with a disdainful sneer on his face. "Ning Yang, don't be too proud. I'm here today to save them. What can you do?" "What a joke. You want to save them by yourself? Do you think we're all decorations? Let's not talk about anything else. If you have the guts, then let's fight one-on-one. Do you dare?" Xiren pointed his sword at Ning Yang. He was constantly thinking of a way, but he really couldn't think of any other way. If he took advantage of this opportunity to slip away, then the scene just now would definitely repeat itself. He had to think of a way to keep Xiao Feng and Yun Yan together. Only then would they have a chance to leave. Hearing this, Ning Yang's expression changed. "Don't think I'll fall for your trick. You want to stall for time? I came to your Ning clan alone, but you don't even have the courage to fight me. Isn't that too disappointing?" Xiren sneered and deliberately raised his voice. "Isn't your Ning clan very impressive? You don't even have the courage to do that? Isn't that too laughable?" The loud and clear voice reverberated, and the people who were gathered around to watch the fun also heard it clearly. "The Ning clan has caused quite a ruckus this time. We've finally caught the culprit. This person has come personally. If Ning Yang doesn't even have the courage to fight, then it's too embarrassing." Ning Yang's expression became uglier and uglier. The other party was deliberately putting him on the spot. He had fought with Di Xiaofeng before, and it was because he wasn't Di Xiaofeng's match that this scar was left on his face. This guy in front of him was so aggressive. Could it be that he was stronger than Di Xiaofeng? "Ning Yang, since they've already said so, why don't you have a match?" Ning Yaoyao chuckled, a playful look on her face. Ning Yang gritted his teeth and glanced at Ning Yaoyao. This woman was clearly taking revenge on him for what happened before. "Good. I promise you." Ning Yang waved his hand. "Get out of the way and tie these two guys together. It won't be too late to deal with them after I've dealt with this guy." As soon as these words came out, the Ning clan's people all retreated a bit, leaving a large open space in the middle. Xiren inadvertently glanced in Di Xiaofeng's direction, the development of this matter was just as he had hoped. As long as the two could get together, he believed that Xiaofeng would be able to seize the opportunity. "Brat die." Ning Yang rushed towards Xiren. Today, in front of everyone, he must teach this guy a lesson. Otherwise, he would lose face in the future. "Then let's try." Chapter 7048. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to maintain his rationality, he would have already rushed forward to save his friend. The two figures rapidly drew closer. and a merciless punch whistled through the air. Ning Yang's attack was aimed directly at Wen Xiren's face. However, Wen Xiren leaned slightly to the side, allowing Shen Xing to circle around Ning Yang's back like a ghost. Only then did she land a punch on his face. Bang! The fierce punch fiercely landed on Ning Yang's face. The right side of Ning Yang's face instantly turned red, and 2 of his teeth were knocked out. Xiren didn't give Ning Yang any leeway. He wanted to attract everyone's attention here, so that Xiaofeng and the rest would have a chance. Bang bang bang. Xiren's figure was like the wind. His attacks strangely came from all kinds of tricky angles. Ning Yang was already a little dazed from the beating. Coupled with the sullen feeling in his heart, he was getting more and more disadvantaged. The faces of the Ning family members suddenly became a little ugly. With so many people watching from the side, if Ning Yang couldn't perform well, it would be really embarrassing. At the same time, when Di Xiaofeng realized that everyone's attention was attracted to this battle, he quietly moved to Bailey Union's side. Although the guard at the side also noticed this, he didn't take it to heart. Anyway, these 2 guys were here and couldn't run at all. Bang! Xiren directly kicked Ning Yang and sent him flying. At the same time, his body fell down, his eyes filled with killing intent. Ning Yang noticed the rapidly approaching Wen Xiren, and his anger had completely disappeared in an instant. Instead, it was replaced by a deep sense of fear. This guy wanted to kill him. Save me! Ning Yang shouted. Ning Yao Yao, and the rest also noticed that the situation was not right. Ning Yang was not this man's opponent at all. The killing intent in Xiren's eyes continued to grow. He wanted to kill this guy to vent his anger. At this moment, a terrifying palm wind attacked. Feeling the astonishing power, he could only passively withdraw his hand, but he was still inevitably hit. Ta ta ta. Xiren took a few steps back before stabilizing his body. When he raised his head, he saw a familiar figure appear beside Ning Yang. Master Qing. Ning Yang breathed a sigh of relief. The paleness on his face disappeared. Qing Ji glanced at Ning Yang, but didn't say anything. Her gaze fell on Xiren more. Seeing this, Ning Yang couldn't help but look at the Ning family head Ning Kaiyong. However, when he noticed the latter's cold eyes, his heart instantly felt a chill. Today's matter was only a small matter. He didn't even think that it would alarm the family head and Master Qing. Now the family head's impression of him was no different from a piece of trash. Trash! Ning Yang's ts het tt. Tt. Ttt. When Xiren clutched his injured chest and looked up at Qing Ji. Tt that. They didn't think that the Ning family would have an expert in the elementary immortal stage. That's why they ended up in this state. Huh? Xiren sneered. Didn't we agree on a one-on-one duel? What's the meaning of this? Chapter 7049. Qing Ji didn't say anything, and just turned to look at Ning Kaiyong. He didn't need to step in for this kind of thing. It was better for the patriarch to make the decision. This is my Ning clan's territory, so the rules are set by my Ning clan. Now the competition is over. Ning Kaiyong's cold face didn't change at all. He didn't even feel the slightest bit out of place when he said such shameless words, as if what he said was right. When Xiren couldn't help but sneer. I was wondering why Ning Yang was so shameless. It turns out he learned it from you, old man. You can even say such things in such a dignified manner. No wonder your Ning clan has such a status in Level Peak City. You must have changed to a group fight if you can't fight one-on-one, right? Impudent. Ning Kaiyong's cold face was covered with anger. It had been a long time since someone dared to speak to him in such a tone, let alone an unknown brat. Take him down. Ning Kaiyong waved his hand, and the Ning clan disciples quickly swarmed forward. When Xiren saw that the situation wasn't good, after paying attention to Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan, he turned around and fled without hesitation. The others obviously didn't expect this audacious guy to run away without saying anything. They were dumbfounded for a moment. What's going on? Was this brat faking it all the time? Take him back. Ning Kaiyong's face was livid. Their Ning clan wasn't a place where they could come and go as they pleased. The disciples quickly chased after him. Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan also took advantage of this opportunity to crush the teleportation talismans in their hands. However, at this moment, their hands were suddenly grabbed, and they couldn't move at all. Qingji raised her lips. It's impossible to escape from under my nose with a teleportation talisman of this level. Hearing this, Ning Yang and the others looked at the two in shock. They didn't know that these two had teleportation talismans in their hands. What's going on? Ning Yaoyao looked at Ning Yang speechlessly. You didn't know they had teleportation talismans? If it weren't for the fact that Master Qing was here, wouldn't all of them be able to do nothing if the two of them crushed the teleportation talisman? Qingji looked at the talisman in her hand and said, "This is the lowest grade talisman, but with your conditions, it's already not bad to have two of them. If I didn't guess wrongly, the reason why that brat was trying to please the crowd was to give you a chance, right? Unfortunately, all of you will have to stay here today." Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Union's hearts instantly turned cold. None of them had expected such an outcome. Qingji was the person they feared the most, but she just had to appear now. At the same time, Xiren was also stopped on the other side. Not to mention how many people were chasing after him. The most important thing was that the surrounding people were also a hindrance. When Xiren was brought in front of Ning Kaiyong again, the latter's expression finally looked better. "Brat, my Ning clan isn't a place you can come to easily. So what?" Xiren looked coldly at Ning Kaiyong, then turned his gaze to the back. However, when he realized that Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Union hadn't left, and were being controlled by Qingji, his expression instantly turned ugly. What was going on? Chapter 70-50. Xiren's face was ashen. Although he didn't know what had just happened, it was obvious that Qingji had seen through it. That damn guy. Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Union's eyes were filled with guilt. Xiren had finally thought of a way to save them, but they didn't expect it to end up like this. They're just a few small fries. There's no need to be angry. Killing them will serve as an example to others. Qingji said indifferently. Ning Kaiyong's attitude towards Qingji was clearly much better. Oh, does Lord Qingji have any good suggestions? For such a daring guy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, tearing him apart is the best result. Qingji's face rippled with a careless smile, but her words were extremely vicious. Haha, Lord Qingji is indeed a genius. Not only is her strength outstanding, but her thoughts are also very good. Ning Kaiyong waved his hand. Men, go prepare. Yes. Ning Yaoyao looked at Di Xiaofeng with emotion. She had finally taken a fancy to a good-looking man. But she didn't expect him to end up being torn apart by 5 horses. However, since Ning Kaiyong had already said this, the result couldn't be changed. 5 horses were quickly found. Ning Kaiyong's gaze fell on Xiren. This guy is the most troublesome. Let's get rid of him first. Ning Yang immediately stood up and tied the rope to Xiren's hands, legs, and neck. As for the other end, he tied it to the horse. Xiren didn't say anything. There was no way to reverse the situation. Although it was painful to die like this, it was better than being slowly tortured. Xiren, I'm sorry. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were also wet. An indescribable sense of guilt spread in his heart. He wanted to do something, but the only thing he could do now was to wait for death. When Xiren laughed heartily. What's there to be sorry about? We'll still be brothers in hell. Di Xiaofeng's lips also curved into a smile. Of course. Do it. Da-da. The sound of hooves rang out as the 5 horses ran in different directions at the same time. The cultivators of the Ning clan had already given them enough space. What followed was bound to be blood splattered on the spot. They did not want to be stained with blood. Xiren closed his eyes. As a cultivator, he had long expected that this day would come at any time. However, such a way of dying was beyond his expectations. A huge force came from his 4 limbs, and his body could be torn apart at any time. Just as he was waiting for the pain of death, he suddenly realized that it took longer than he expected. It was so long that he started to wonder if he was already dead. Open your eyes. Xiren could not help but open his eyes when he heard a familiar chuckle. He suddenly realized that Di Beichen was right beside him. Oh my god. I'm about to die and I'm still hallucinating. But why isn't it Ying in the hallucination? It's Beichen. Bewitching looked at Xiren's blank face, and a trace of helplessness appeared in his eyes. This guy's mind was indeed different from ordinary people. Don't be in a daze. Do you want Beichen to keep holding you up? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled helplessly. It was only at this moment that when Xiren realized that something was amiss. Chapter 7051. There. When Xiren hurriedly stood up and looked at Bewitching, Bailey Hongzhuang, Mo Yunjue, and Zhongli Mu in front of him, his mind was still in a daze. Although I asked Yingying to seek revenge for me, isn't this a little too fast? Fast? Zhongli Mu was speechless. Isn't the speed at which you spread the news a little too slow? If we hadn't sensed that something was wrong and rushed over, we would have only seen your corpses by the time we arrived. When Xiren touched his neck, and unconsciously revealed a joyful smile. I thought my neck would be separated from my body in the next second. I didn't expect you guys to arrive just in time. You guys are my saviors. Di Xiaofeng and Mo Yunjue heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. However, their hearts sank when they remembered that Qing Ji was at the elementary celestial stage. Di Beichen, this guy is from the immortal region. Hurry up and leave. Don't worry about us. It was fine if the two of them died here, but they couldn't let more people come. It would be terrible if they were all wiped out. Ning Kaiyong looked at the four people who suddenly appeared and sneered. There are so many young people who don't care about their lives now. Ning Yang and the rest were surprised when they saw this scene. What's going on? They didn't see these people when they were chasing after Di Xiaofeng. Logically speaking, they shouldn't have been able to send a message in such a short time. However, it was impossible for them to escape from the Ning family with just these few people. If we're going to leave, we'll leave together. How can I leave you guys behind? Di Beichen smiled faintly. A trace of viciousness flashed across his eyes when he saw the wounds on the two people. These young people are hot-blooded. They think that this is a sign of brotherly love, but they're just sending themselves to their deaths. Qing Ji smiled faintly. If that's the case, we'll have to get rid of them all. Ning Kaiyong looked at Ning Yaoyao. Yaoyao, take some people and deal with these guys. When Ning Yang heard this, he couldn't help but feel anxious. Patriarch, haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Ning Kaiyong's voice was cold. Ning Yang immediately shut his mouth. He had to give such a good opportunity to Ning Yaoyao. At that time, all the credit would belong to Ning Yaoyao, and he would only be in the wrong. Ning Yaoyao's expression was a little complicated. She looked at Di Beichen, and then looked at Di Xiaofeng. She only felt that the two people's eyebrows were somewhat similar. If she guessed correctly, the two should be brothers. Di Xiaofeng was already handsome enough, but this guy in front of her seemed to be even more interesting. Letting her kill such a handsome man was simply a waste of God's gift. Ning Yaoyao pointed at the few people beside her. I'll give you a chance to perform. The members of the Ning family all looked at Ning Yaoyao in surprise. If they could perform well in front of the family head, their status in the family would be greatly improved in the future. It couldn't be better. Get rid of them quickly. Don't waste time. As soon as she finished speaking, Ning Yaoyao directly attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. She couldn't bear to attack a handsome man, but she was ruthless towards a woman. Chapter 7052. Ning Kaiyong and Qing Ji stood at the side indifferently as the Ning family disciples swarmed forward. They were not interested in such a childish battle. How dare you hurt my brother? I'll kill you. Zhongli Mu's eyes flashed with viciousness. He had been stirring up trouble for the past few years, and his naivety had long faded. Now there was only determination and viciousness. He would definitely take revenge on anyone who hurt his brother. When Xiren originally wanted to remind everyone that the strength of these people was not simple, it would be better for them to think of a way to take the opportunity to slip away. However, seeing that no one had any intention of backing down, he was puzzled. Did Xiaofeng's words not make it clear? Hey, don't tell me you guys are affected by Zhongli's temper? We're outnumbered. Xiren couldn't help but ask. Why do you care so much? Just fight, Zhongli Mu said. Xiren. I knew it. But Beichen and Hongzhuang, can you guys be so impulsive today? Bang! A sharp gust of wind whistled through the air. The Ning family disciples who had rushed forward were almost instantly beaten to the ground. The sudden force was completely beyond Ning Yaoyao's expectations. Caught off guard, she was violently thrown to the ground. The terrifying force seeped into her organs. She couldn't help but groan as blood flowed from the corner of her lips. She lifted her head again and looked at the beautiful lady in disbelief. This woman is so strong. Zhongli Mu and the other two were dumbfounded when they realized that the person in front of them had been beaten to the ground before they could attack. Xiren subconsciously glanced at Qingji. Isn't this the same move she used on me just now? Did she suddenly betray us? When he noticed that everyone's eyes were focused on Bailey Hongzhuang, he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. You were the one who attacked. Xiren was so shocked that he couldn't even speak clearly. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow, a faint smile on her lips. It wasn't me. Xiren was dumbfounded. Could it be you? When Xiren tidied himself up and silently chanted this sentence together, immediately his eyes widened in shock. F***ck. I haven't seen you for a while, and your strength is so heaven-defying. Zhongli Mu was also completely stunned. I haven't even had a chance to make a move yet. Mo Yunjua looked thoughtfully at Bailey Hongzhuang, then looked at Bewitching. No wonder the two of them didn't take it seriously when he mentioned that the Ning clan had an elementary celestial expert. It turned out that their strength had also reached the elementary celestial stage. These small fries are really not enough, Bewitching said indifferently. Didn't you say that the Ning family is very powerful? Let's get straight to the point. Ning Kaiyong and Qingji's expressions changed when they saw this. Ning Kaiyong looked at Qingji. Bailey Hongzhuang had attacked too quickly, but from her aura, he was almost certain that she was at the elementary celestial stage without a doubt. Qingji immediately understood. When she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again, it didn't seem like she was looking at a newborn calf. May I know where you're from, Your Excellency? The realm of chaos, Bailey Hongzhuang replied indifferently. Qingji was stunned. You're not from the realm of chaos. Chapter 7053. What does it have to do with you whether I am or not? Bailey Hongzhuang was too lazy to pay attention to Qingji. It was this guy who made her big brother in Union suffer such serious injuries. He even thought of such a vicious idea like being dismembered by 5 horses. Today, she will let this guy taste what it means to be dismembered by 5 horses. Qingji's expression darkened when she saw that Ningyichen was not giving her any face. Lord Qingji, what's her strength like? Ning Kaiyong asked. Qingji studied Bailey Hongzhuang carefully. She had a complicated expression on her face. She's covered in a layer of restriction. I can't see her cultivation base. If that was not the case, he would not have been so careless earlier. Ning Kaiyong's heart sank. This was not good news. What if we fight her head-on? I'm not afraid if she's alone. Qingji looked at Bewitching. The man in the lead doesn't look simple either. I'm afraid his cultivation base. Hearing this, Ning Kaiyong thought for a while and looked at Ning Yang. Didn't you say that you've already found out about their backgrounds? What's going on? Master, I've investigated their background. They're from Shiyun City. They just came to the chaotic immortal realm a few years ago. They don't have any background, Ning Yang quickly said. Then how did this woman in the elementary immortal realm come about? Ning Kaiyong's voice was filled with anger. Ning Yang could not figure it out himself. He could only say, maybe she just broke through to the elementary immortal realm. Although it was difficult for cultivators in the chaotic immortal realm to break through to the elementary immortal realm, it was not impossible. Every once in a while, there would be 1 or 2 geniuses who managed to break through. She just came to the chaotic immortal realm a few years ago. She's already broken through to the elementary immortal realm? Ning Kaiyong was so angry that he laughed. Only idiots would say something like that. Ning Yang was about to cry. He did not know how to explain all this. He had investigated everything thoroughly. Qingji noticed Ning Yang's expression. She knew what he said was true. She was relieved. Some people have good luck. It's possible for them to break through in a short period of time. However, it's not easy for one of them to appear. Since they were from the realm of chaotic immortal, It meant that they did not have any helpers. It was the easiest way to deal with them. Ning Kaiyong nodded slightly. If that was really the case, then he had just broken through, and was definitely not a match for Qing Ji. It seems that you all don't dare to attack. Di Beichen's lips curled into a sneer. His fairy-like face was now covered with a layer of coldness. Then I'll have to make the first move. Whoosh! With a flash, Di Beichen appeared in front of Qing Ji. It was you who captured my big brother. Almost everyone present believed that Bailey Hongzhuang was the strongest in this team. They thought that she would be the one to make a move, but they did not expect that Di Beichen would be the first to rush out. For a moment, they were dumbfounded. The moment Di Beichen's aura surged, Qing Ji's expression changed. Elementary Celestial Stage. Another Elementary Celestial. Normally, it was already very impressive for a single Elementary Celestial Stage expert to appear in a city in the realm of chaos. Today, there were actually 3 in Pingfeng City. So what? Qing Ji calmed down. You've just broken through to the Elementary Celestial Stage. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of your senior? You're really a newborn calf. Chapter 7054. Hearing these extremely arrogant words, everyone present could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Did this young man not know how powerful Qing Ji was? How could he say something like that? Qing Ji was enraged by his words. She sneered. Kid, I'll teach you a lesson today. Is that so? Unfortunately, you can only be a ghost from today onwards. Di Beichen threw a punch at Qing Ji as soon as he finished speaking. A ferocious power exploded. From the moment he attacked, he did not show any mercy. Qing Ji did not treat Di Beichen as an opponent. A young kid who was arrogant because he had just broken through to the Elementary Celestial Stage did not know the depth of the Elementary Celestial Stage. Even if they were both in the Elementary Celestial Stage, the time of breakthrough was different, so their strength was different. Bang! The 2 fists collided, and a terrifying force burst out. Di Beichen did not know the depth of Qing Ji's strength, but after this exchange, he was relieved that the difference in strength between the 2 of them was not big. Everyone watched as the 2 of them exchanged blows. Every blow was fatal, and the strength of the Elementary Celestial Stage was undeniable. Almost everyone was sure that Di Beichen was no match for Qing Ji. However, when they noticed that Di Beichen did not show any signs of being at a disadvantage, they could not help but be shocked. The Ning family has really kicked an iron plate this time. Actually, this matter is not that big of a deal. They are the ones who want to make such a big commotion. Isn't that so? Relying on the help of the Elementary Celestial Stage, the Ning family is simply arrogant and despotic now. Anyone who provokes them in the slightest will be killed. It has long been a foul atmosphere. If there is really someone who can deal with them, it will undoubtedly be the best. Do you know how these young people offended them? I heard that it was because Ning Yang and those 2 youngsters found an illusory form bead. The illusory form bead originally belonged to those 2 youngsters. However, Ning Yang was not convinced and asked for help from his family. In the end, he directly put the blame on those 2 youngsters. TSK. These 2 youngsters are truly unlucky. Only, I did not expect them to have 2 incipient immortal stage helpers. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know the whole story, nor did she know what Big Brother had stolen from the Ning family. After hearing that it was the illusion form bead, her face suddenly changed. Who would have thought that the thing that Big Brother was fighting for was actually for them? Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan were dumbfounded when they saw that Di Beichen wasn't at a disadvantage at all. No wonder this brat would say something like that. He already had a card up his sleeve. This kid is really abnormal. I haven't seen him for a while, and his strength has improved so much. Di Xiaofeng shook his head with a smile. The worry in his heart disappeared at this moment. Beichen and Hongzhuang were both at the Elementary Immortal Realm. The Ning family did not have 2 Elementary Immortal Realm experts. Bailey Yunyan's face also bloomed with a trace of a surprised smile. Originally, she had already given up hope. Wanting to escape from this predicament was simply a fool's dream. She never thought that such a miracle would really happen. At this moment, the Ning family suddenly noticed that Bailey Hongzhuang who had been standing at the side, suddenly moved. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was getting closer and closer, Ningyang couldn't help but ask, "You, what are you doing?" Chapter 7055. Ning Kaiyong watched as Bailey Hongzhuang approached step by step. His expression became very complicated. He kept accumulating energy in his body, ready to attack at any time. However, as the head of the family, he knew the difference between the Radiant Sun realm and the elementary immortal realm. Even if it was only a step away, the difference in strength between the two was very shocking. If Bailey Hongzhuang attacked, he might be able to take a few hits, but in reality, he was no match for her at all. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't even look at Ning Kaiyong. She walked to the side of Bailey Yunyan and Bailey Hongzhuang. The cultivator in charge of guarding the side didn't dare to say anything. He just silently retreated a little, afraid that this woman would get angry and directly cripple him. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the injuries on Bailey Yunyan's body. She found that most of them were superficial wounds. Although she looked like she was on the verge of death, fortunately, her foundation wasn't injured. Bailey Hongzhuang took out a pill and fed it to her. Then she untied the ropes on her body. "Yunyan, how are you?" Di Xiaofeng looked at Bailey Yunyan worriedly. Previously, when he saw her covered in blood, he felt very distressed. However, he didn't know the specific injuries. Bailey Yunyan shook her head slightly. "I'm fine. These 2 days they only beat me up. In order to attract you here, they kept me alive." Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng felt even more guilty. "I didn't protect you well. Don't say this. It's my fault." Bailey Yunyan stared at Di Xiaofeng. She would never forget the scene just now. To be able to find such a man was the happiest thing in her life. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the two's affectionate appearance and smiled helplessly. Then she started to treat Di Xiaofeng's injuries. "I'm afraid your leg will need to rest for a few days to completely recover." "It's fine." Di Xiaofeng had a casual expression. Compared to being able to keep his life, this leg was really nothing. Not far away, when Ziren watched as Bailey Hongzhuang casually walked to the back of the Ning clan and put down Bailey Yunyan and Bailey Hongzhuang, his eyes shone with little stars of worship. "Hongzhuang is really mighty. I've thought of thousands of ways to slap people, but none of them are as powerful as Hongzhuang's move." He had directly ignored all of them, yet they didn't dare to resist at all. Who else could do this? Zhong Limu nodded in agreement. "Big sister Hongzhuang is really amazing, but how did they surpass me so quickly?" He believed that his improvement during this period of time was already fast enough. He vaguely felt that he was not far from breaking through to the elementary immortal stage. After all, he had accumulated strength over the years and was stronger than them. Now that he was surpassed, he felt a little complicated. Their speed can't be judged by common sense. Mo Yunjue smiled faintly. He was already used to it. Bang! A terrifying attack spread out. The ground of the Ning clan cracked inch by inch. Di Beichen and Qingji both took a few steps back before stabilizing themselves. Everyone looked and saw that Di Beichen's chest had an additional wound. Blood was seeping out from the wound, dyeing his clothes red. On the other hand, Qingji stood there calmly. There were no wounds on her body. Ning Kaiyong let out a sigh of relief. The older the wiser. This young man was obviously no match for Qingji. Chapter 7056. This young man can't compare to Qingji in the end. She's from the celestial region. Even if he's at a disadvantage, the situation is still uncertain. Don't forget there are 2 of them. That's true. I hope they can do well. Without Qingji, there are many people who want to kill the Ning clan. Ningyang couldn't help but say, "Lord Qingji, kill this guy." With Qingji's strength, she might be able to kill both of them. That would undoubtedly be the best outcome. However, Di Beichen shot a murderous look at Ningyang when he heard this. Instantly, Ningyang felt his mind being controlled. Ningyang suddenly started laughing on the spot, and even started dancing happily. "Beauty, come on." Everyone saw Ningyang dancing with a lewd smile on his face. He seemed to take everyone around him as beauties, and he even directly grabbed the patriarch of the Ning clan, Ning Kaiyong. Let go. Ning Kaiyong's expression darkened. Beauty, don't be so cold. Let Big Brother take good care of you. Ning Yang touched Ning Kaiyong's face with one hand, and his mouth kept moving closer as if he wanted to kiss her. Ning Kaiyong was already very displeased with Ning Yang. If it wasn't for him, the Ning clan wouldn't have caused such trouble. Now that he saw Ning Yang's lewd appearance, he was even more furious. F***ck off, you disgraceful thing. Ning Kaiyong sent Ning Yang flying with a kick. The latter fell to the ground and clutched his chest as he spat out blood. However, this heavy blow still didn't make Ning Yang recover from his shock. He stood up again and charged over happily. Bang! Ning Kaiyong's eyes were cold. He slapped out with his palm, and Ning Yang slowly fell to the ground. Only then did his eyes regain clarity. He looked at Ning Kaiyong in disbelief, as if he'd never imagined that he would die at the hands of the patriarch. This old guy from the Ning clan is really ruthless. Zhong Limu's pupils constricted. Although he often caused trouble, even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its own cubs. He was Ning Yang's grandfather, yet he actually killed his grandson with his own hands. This was really ruthless. This guy has always been a cold and emotionless person, so it's normal for him to do this. Ziren waved his hand, as if he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Ning Kaiyong didn't look guilty at all after killing Ning Yang. But there was a hint of fear in his eyes when he looked at Bewitching. I didn't expect you to have such means. Only then did everyone come back to their senses. It turned out that all of this was done by Bewitching. Immediately, they felt a little apprehensive. Such a method was truly astonishing. However, this is useless. Ning Kaiyong's eyes were malicious. Lord Qingji, you must kill this guy. Fortunately, Qingji was strong enough. Otherwise, their Ning clan would have been wiped out. Hong Zhuang, go and help Beichen. We'll be fine. Emperor Xiaofeng was very worried after noticing the changes. Qingji isn't easy to deal with. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't even look up as she helped the two of them slowly walk towards where Ziren and the rest were. Don't you have confidence in Beichen's ability? Hearing this, the two of them were stunned. This wasn't an ordinary opponent. Qingji has already lost. Bailey Hongzhuang's pleasant voice sounded. Chapter 7058. This fellow relied on Qingji for the Ning clan's current status. Now that Qingji is dead, he naturally has to find a new backer. Otherwise, the Ning clan will be completely finished. However, this fellow is at his wit's end now. He's actually thinking of recruiting the enemy he offended previously. The possibility of that isn't very high, is it? That might not be the case. This old fox has many tricks up his sleeve. Perhaps he can really persuade him. Otherwise, Qingji wouldn't have been invited by him back then. Everyone's expressions were extremely complicated. They had finally found a chance to topple the Ning family after so much difficulty. If they were really convinced by Ning Kaiyong, then the Ning family would really be able to reign supreme in Level Peak City in the future. However, just as everyone was extremely anxious, a discordant voice suddenly interrupted Ning Kaiyong's words. You shameless old man. I clearly know what kind of attitude you had towards me earlier. In the blink of an eye, you want to get closer to us? Dream on. When Ziren couldn't help but jump up. He was simply stunned by this shameless old man. He had done all kinds of bad things earlier, and now he wanted to shirk his responsibility with just this sentence? What a joke. Ning Kaiyong, who was racking his brains to think of a way to persuade him, was also shocked by Ziren's shout. Instantly, his expression became extremely ugly. How could he have forgotten about this troublemaker? Young master just now. Beichen, you definitely can't pay attention to this old man. When Ziren looked at Beichen with an unusually firm attitude, Beichen smiled faintly. All right, Ziren. A figure quickly rushed to Ziren's side. Ziren was shocked at first, but after sensing that familiar aura, he relaxed and revealed a joyful smile. Ying, why are you back? Before he barged in, he had clearly told Ying not to continue staying here. When he didn't see this girl earlier, he thought that this girl had finally listened to him for once. He didn't expect her to appear again in the blink of an eye. Shangguan Ying's eyes were filled with tears. I asked someone to help me pass on the message, and then I immediately rushed over. She knew that all of this would happen, yet she still wanted to leave. That was something she simply could not do. Even if they had to fight to the death here, at least they would be together. Even if one of them could survive, what was the point of that? Xiren reached out to wipe the tears from the corners of Shangguan Yingying's eyes. Don't cry. Isn't everyone fine now? That's right. Shangguan Yingying cried and laughed at the same time. It was really. Young master, why don't we have a good talk? Ning Kaiyong was still unwilling to give up. Actually, this incident didn't cause too much damage. We can find a way to make up for all the problems. Bewitching looked at Ning Kaiyong indifferently, his eyes filled with killing intent. Ning Kaiyong's heart trembled. He paused the words he wanted to say and didn't dare to say anymore. Master Ning, look at what you're saying. Just a moment ago, you wanted to kill all of them, and in the next second, you've changed your mind. The change is really too fast. It makes people very suspicious of your original intentions. A man slowly walked in from the outside. The man was slightly plump and had a faint smile on his face. He didn't seem to have any lethality at all. Chapter 7059. Noticing the newcomer, Ning Kaiyong's face instantly darkened. Jiang and I, what are you doing here? It's rare to see such a genius. Can I make friends with him? Jiang and I glanced at Ning Kaiyong indifferently, then turned to look at Bewitching with a smile. His attitude was completely different. Young master, the Ning clan isn't the only powerful force in Level Peak City. This guy did such an unforgivable thing to you. It's really suspicious of his integrity. If you're interested in Level Peak City, my Jiang clan will show you our greatest sincerity. Old bastard. Ning Kaiyong cursed. Usually, he had the most intense conflict with the Jiang clan. During this period of time, with the appearance of Qing Ji, he was prepared to use this opportunity to completely eradicate the Jiang clan. He didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen today. It seemed that Jiang and I did have an advantage over him. Once he was convinced, the Ning clan would be in a terrible situation. After seeing this scene, the surrounding clans couldn't help but sigh. Jiang and I was really an old fox standing out at this time. However, everyone had to admit that this was indeed an excellent opportunity. If they could seize this opportunity to grab hold of these two experts, they would definitely be a well-known clan in other cities, let alone Level Peak City. Bewitching looked at Jiang and I. Although he didn't know who this person was, he could tell from the changes in the surrounding people's expressions. However, he didn't have any thoughts about the grudges in Level Peak City. I'm not from Level Peak City, and I'm not interested in anything in the city. I'm only here today to avenge my brother and sister-in-law. Bewitching's voice was cold, as if he didn't care about all this. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Your Ning clan provoked my brother first, and even threatened to kill all of us. As the Ning clan's head, you can't shirk your responsibility. Hearing this, Ning Kaiyong's face had a hint of panic. His eyes darted around as he tried to think of a solution. However, Bewitching didn't even give him a chance to speak. He suddenly attacked with his palm. Master, please show mercy, the patriarch of the Ning family shouted. Unfortunately, his words had no effect at all. He had lost his life in one move. Bewitching's palm landed on the top of Ning Kaiyong's head, and the latter fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Everyone in the Ning clan didn't expect that their family head would die in the blink of an eye. Everyone was in an uproar. Ning Kaiyong's death was truly rather sudden. Bewitching turned to look at Di Xiaofeng. Who else? Hearing this, some of the cultivators from the Ning clan suddenly had a look of horror on their faces. The meaning of these words was very obvious. Obviously, he was asking who else had hurt him. Anyone who had hurt him would not be spared. Bewitching's gaze swept over the Ning family. As soon as he noticed the guilty expression on the other side's face, he had already discovered the problem. Immediately, he was not polite and directly killed him, not leaving the slightest bit of mercy. Looking at the man's resolute and merciless appearance, everyone was secretly fearful. Thank you, second brother. A carefree smile appeared on Di Xiaofeng's face, and his eyes were filled with gratitude. If Bewitching and the others hadn't arrived in time, he might have been left with eternal regret today. Since we're brothers, why are you being so polite? Chapter 70-60. Although the injuries looked serious, they could be completely healed after a few days of rest. Bewitching once again looked at the Ning family. The people who were noticed all unconsciously lowered their heads, and in their hearts, they had already cursed Ning Yang to death. If it wasn't for Ning Yang causing trouble and kicking an iron plate, the Ning clan wouldn't have fallen to such a state. No one in their clan could fight against an elementary immortal realm expert. As long as the other party wanted to, it would be easy for him to kill all of them. Today's grudge is over. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Bewitching calmly took off Qingji and Ning Kaiyong's storage rings. These two guys should have a lot of resources on them. Today's matter made him want to destroy the entire Ning clan. However, not everyone was involved. Since the people who needed to be dealt with were dealt with, there was no need for him to do the rest. The Ning clan had been too arrogant recently and offended many people. There was no need for him to do anything. Many people would take this opportunity to take revenge. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the Ning clan first heaved a sigh of relief, then became nervous again. If Bewitching didn't do anything, it meant that they still had a chance to live. However, thinking about the other forces in Pingfeng City, their situation wasn't much better. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't want to stay for long. Yin clearly didn't have a good time these days. Her mental state wasn't good either. It was better for her to find a place to rest. Jiang and I looked at the direction of Bewitching's group, and his eyes flashed with a ray of light. When they returned to the inn, they first sent Bailey Yunyan and Di Xiaofeng into the room. Only when Yunyan took off her clothes did Bailey Hongzhuang apply medicine on her wounds. Hongzhuang, will there be scars on my body? Looking at the wounds on her body, Bailey Yunyan's eyes showed a trace of worry. The scars were all over her body. It looked really ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. If I leave a scar on your body, won't Big Brother blame me? After understanding the meaning of these words, Bailey Yunyan breathed a sigh of relief. Pleasantly surprised, she said, Hongzhuang, thank you. You're still worried about these things at a time like this? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and shook her head. Don't worry. With me here, you won't have any scars left. Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave after applying medicine to all the wounds on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. But Bailey Yunyan suddenly hugged her. Yunyan? Hongzhuang, thank you. Bailey Yunyan's voice was choked with sobs. If you guys hadn't arrived, we would have really died today. Bailey Hongzhuang reached out and patted Bailey Yunyan's back. This experience must have left a serious shadow in her heart. Not to mention Yunyan, even she could not help but feel a lingering fear. If they hadn't come in time, then it would have been a lifetime of regret. The heavens won't be so cruel. No matter what happens to us, we'll turn misfortune into blessing. The clear and melodious voice had a healing power. Bailey Yunyan's somewhat agitated mood quietly calmed down. You must be tired these days. Eat something and rest early. It won't be too late to have a good chat after you've rested enough. Bailey Yunyan nodded slightly. Okay. Chapter 70-61. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't stay for long. They left one after another, after telling them what they needed to pay attention to in case of injuries. Even though the incident this time had been dangerous, the two of them must have grown closer after going through this ordeal. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes, the corners of her lips curling up slightly. Bewitching and Xiaofeng really were brothers. They were very similar in this aspect. The next day, Bai Lianche and Shangguan Ru finally arrived at the inn. When they saw that everyone was safe and sound, they finally let out a sigh of relief. Yanche, you guys were too slow. Xiren looked at Bai Lianche speechlessly. If we had waited for you guys to come and rescue us, I'm afraid we wouldn't even be able to find their corpses. Don't be so heartless. Bai Lianche sat down at the side. If we hadn't been the first to discover that something was wrong with Xiaofeng, and the others being gone for so long, everyone wouldn't have immediately come looking for you. Even though I didn't show up yesterday, you have to thank me properly. Otherwise, you really would have been torn apart by 5 horses. When Xiren chuckled. Actually, he had already learned the whole story from Hong Zhuang and the others yesterday. The two of them had gone to a nearby city and hadn't arrived yet. If this guy hadn't discovered the abnormality, then it really would have been too dangerous. I knew you were true to me. Xiren put a hand on Bai Li Yanchei's shoulder, practically hanging on it. No matter what, we are true love. Move aside. Bai Li Yanchei pushed Xiren to the side in disgust. He quietly glanced at Ling and said, My true love isn't you. Ioyo, you've really forgotten about your brothers now that you have a wife. You have to learn from me in this aspect. Xiren. Shangguan Yingying's voice rang out. Yingying, have you eaten breakfast yet? Do you want me to send it up for you? When Xiren looked upstairs, what happened yesterday had given Yingying quite a shock. She had fallen asleep very late last night. He thought that she would not wake up this morning, but she had actually woken up. All right. Bai Li Yanchei curled his lips as he looked at the guy who went to order breakfast. How shameless. Bailey Hongzhuang also came out of the house after noticing Bai Li Yanchei's arrival. Have you heard the news? Bai Li Yanchei nodded slightly. Right now the entire Pingfeng city is spreading the news. We heard about it from the streets and alleys as soon as we arrived. Fortunately, you guys were faster. His previous carefree attitude was also fake. Fortunately, they managed to make it in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. How are Xiaofeng and the others? I've suffered some injuries, but fortunately they aren't serious. I'll be fine after a period of rest. That's good. Bai Li Yanchei was completely relieved. Then we'll stay here for a while. It won't be too late to leave after we've recovered. That's what we were thinking. Big brother, when your injuries are better, go back to the family to take a look. You haven't been back for so long. Father and mother miss you very much. Di Xiaofeng nodded. Indeed, we haven't been back for a long time. Di Beichen saw that Di Xiaofeng's mental state was good. The injury on his leg didn't affect him too much. He immediately recounted what happened during this period of time. After hearing all this, a strange look appeared in Di Xiaofeng's eyes. Chapter 7062. Are you sure that the Qing devil has appeared in the immortal realm? Di Xiaofeng found it hard to believe. He had been in the chaotic immortal realm for so long, and he had almost forgotten about the Qing devil. He didn't expect that such a thing would happen. I heard this news from City Lord Yang, so it shouldn't be wrong, Yang Kai said with a smile. Di Beichen's face was dignified. He had come back in a hurry, and had forgotten to ask again. So it's a little tricky. So you plan to go to the immortal realm, to look for Xiao Suo? That's right. Di Xiaofeng was silent for a moment. Then he said, Since that's the case, let's go back to the family after Yunyan and I have recovered. Although our cultivation levels are not high enough in the chaotic immortal realm, we can still protect the family. Even if the Qing devil does appear, we still have the strength to fight. Di Beichen relaxed a little when he heard that. If you want to, that's the best. They didn't feel safe leaving Xiao He and Xiao Bai there. With Xiaofeng's current cultivation level, he was almost invincible in the upper realm. Even if Xiao Suo went to find trouble, they could fight her. Don't worry. Leave the family to me. If there's a problem that I can't solve, I'll come to you. Di Xiaofeng patted Di Beichen's shoulder. As your big brother, I've always relied on you to take care of me. I can always help with the family's affairs. Di Beichen smiled faintly. He felt a little relieved. I've been tired for the past few years. I'll take the opportunity to rest when I go back. Those little fellows in the clan should also be properly trained. Their cultivation needs to be raised as soon as possible. Di Xiaofeng's eyes shone brightly. His vision was much broader than before. He also hoped to pass on his skills to the family's disciples. Only then could the family become the strongest family in the upper realm. Xiren was also surprised when he heard the news. Beichen, are you going to the immortal realm? I have no choice but to go now. Sai, I also want to go with you. Xiren sighed. Then, he looked at everyone seriously and said, Haven't you realized that it's impossible to not follow Beichen and the others? When we followed them, our progress was not small. But when we separated, Those two fellows began to increase their cultivation by themselves, completely leaving us in the dust. We haven't seen each other for more than 2 years, and look at the difference between us. As soon as he said this, Bai Li Yanche and the others looked at each other in dismay. They thought about it carefully, and realized that this was indeed the case. Then according to what you said, when Beichen and the others return, won't we? When Xiren shrugged. I have a feeling that you won't be able to break through to the elementary immortal stage by then. Di Xiaofeng's face darkened. Shut up. Di Beichen smiled faintly and shook his head. Big brother, and the others will be returning to the upper realm in a few days. What are your plans? If we stay in the immortal realm of chaos, I'm afraid we won't be able to return for a while. Xiren and the others naturally realized this. If they went to the immortal realm with their radiant sun cultivation levels, they might not be able to enter at all. Although there might be a glimmer of hope with Beichen and the others protecting them, it would still be troublesome. Chapter 7063. Xiren thought for a while, and looked at Shangguan Yingying. What's your plan? I want to go back. Shangguan Yingying thought for a while and said, We haven't gone back to see our father for a long time. The Di family might be in danger. I think it's safer for us to go back. With their current situation, they would have many opportunities to gain experience in the future. However, if something happened to the Di family, and they were not there, it would be terrible. I think so too, Xiren said with a smile. Shangguan Yingying heaved a sigh of relief. After what happened yesterday, she felt that nothing was more important than being with her family. As cultivators, they had a lot of time to do other things. However, when they were in danger, they had to do something. Actually, this is good. When Beichen and the others arrive at the crossing celestial realm, if they find something good there, they might take the opportunity to take us there. Xiren's eyes lit up. With the chaos ring, it would be very convenient for them to go to another place. If they could take the opportunity to take a look, it would be an eye-opener. After discussing for a while, they decided that Bai Li Yanche and Ling would go back to the upper realm together. With Beichen and Hong Zhuang, it would be very convenient for them to come to the chaotic celestial realm in the future. Zhongli Mu and Mo Yunjue decided to continue to gain experience in the chaotic celestial realm. With Gong Jun here, it would be very convenient for them. After another 2 days, a round figure appeared at the door of the inn. Gong Jun's eyes were filled with tears as he looked at Di Beichen in the lobby and said, Boss, I finally found you. Why are you here? Boss, what are you talking about? I am your man. Naturally, I will be wherever you are. Gong Jun poured a cup of water and drank it. Then he said, Why didn't you tell me that you were leaving? It took me a long time to find you. If it wasn't for the fact that this matter has caused such a stir, I wouldn't have gotten the news. You can rest assured now. The matter has been resolved. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Gong Jun nodded. With boss and sister-in-law taking action, it will naturally be a piece of cake. Gong Jun is here too. When Xiren heard the commotion downstairs, and ran out of the house. Now that the inn had been booked by them, no one else would appear except for their own people. Hearing this familiar voice, Gong Jun could not help but raise his head. When he saw the figure upstairs that he had been thinking about day and night, he immediately gritted his teeth and said, When Xiren, come down. Gong Jun, what's with your expression? When Xiren jumped down from the second floor and said with some confusion, I am Wen Xiren. Why are you looking at me like that? After seeing this scene, Zhong Limu already understood the situation. He could not help but give Xiren a look, but helplessly found that this guy did not notice him at all. Zhong Limu wanted to help but was unable to do so. It was better to let this guy fend for himself. You, hurry up and pay back the debt that you owe me for these 2 years. Gong Jun roared with his hands on his hips. When Xiren was slightly stunned, Gong Jun, didn't we already discuss this matter before? Why did you suddenly change your attitude? Chapter 7064. At this moment, when Xiren couldn't help but turn to look at Zhong Limu, He had already told Zhongli Mu about this matter, only to find that the latter had already lowered his head and silently retreated, constantly reducing his presence. That's not right. Xiren was dumbfounded. I only told Zhongli about this matter. This shop being smashed has nothing to do with me. This matter is inextricably linked to you. Gong Jun's eyes widened in anger. If it wasn't for this fellow being noticed when he was talking to Zhongli, the Immortal Treasure Pavilion wouldn't have suffered such a tragic fate. Hehe, if you have something to say, let's talk nicely. This matter is definitely an accident. Xiren's smile was filled with guilt, and in the next instant, he ran behind Di Beichen. Beichen, yesterday I was injured while protecting your big brother. Seeing that I've contributed so much, help me settle the debt for these 2 years. If I settle the debt, then what about the compensation? Di Beichen raised his eyebrows. Hehe, it's still a debt. You might as well settle it all together. Just tell me if we're brothers or not. Everyone looked at Xiren's shameless appearance and shook their heads. In terms of shamelessness, there was probably no one present who could be compared to Xiren. We're brothers. A warm and magnetic voice sounded, filled with strong determination. Xiren was almost prepared for Di Beichen to ridicule him, but when he suddenly heard such a serious answer, he was a little surprised. However, when he noticed Beichen's sincere gaze, he couldn't help but smile. Put his debt on my head. Di Beichen looked at Gong Jun. For yesterday's matter, he owed Xiren a word of thanks. The reason this guy was willing to risk his life was actually because of him. He didn't directly thank him, because he understood that with their relationship, there was no need to say such things. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest couldn't help but be moved, although Beichen didn't usually say such things, and sometimes acted as if he despised Xiren. In reality, they all knew that Beichen treated Xiren as his own brother. Yes, Gong Jun nodded. Hehe, Beichen really loves me. Xiren's face was filled with pride. Everyone. Young Master D, I'm sorry to intrude. I hope I'm not disturbing you. A slightly deep voice sounded from outside the door. Everyone looked to see the head of the Jiang family, Jiang and I. Head of the Jiang family? In the past few days, even if they didn't inquire about the news, they still learned about the changes in the city from the servants and cooks. After the head of the family, the rest of the powerhouses, they couldn't help but take action. Almost overnight, the Ning family was completely disbanded. Among them, the one who contributed the most was the head of the Jiang family, Jiang and I. After swallowing the Ning family's resources, the Jiang family had become the most powerful powerhouse in Pingfeng City. They didn't care about this, but they didn't expect Jiang and I to visit. Hearing this, Di Beichen's expression changed. It seemed that the head of the Jiang family already knew their identity in a short period of time. Chapter 7065. Back then, the Array Master competition was extremely sensational. Qingyang City suddenly turned the tables and shone brilliantly. Almost every city knew about it. He was also present at that Array Master competition. Di Beichen and Jiang and I left a deep impression on him. At that time, there were countless city lords who wanted to rope them in. However, he was only one of the forces in Level Peak City, and wasn't qualified to do so. A few days ago, when he saw Di Beichen at the Ning family, he felt that the two looked familiar. However, he couldn't recall when he had seen them. When he recalled that these two had never come to Level Peak City before, he thought of other possibilities, and finally came to this conclusion. Family head Jiang has a good memory. Di Beichen smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. This person must have a purpose for coming here today. Young Master D, this is the property of the Ning family. Jiang and I took out a storage ring and placed it on the table. The enmity between us and the Ning family has been settled. I also heard that the Ning family was settled by family head Jiang. This loot naturally belongs to the Jiang family. It has nothing to do with us. Di Beichen's expression was calm. His gaze didn't even linger on the storage ring. Looking at his unmoved appearance, Jiang and I also understood that the Ning family's property was a huge fortune to others. However, to Di Beichen, it clearly wasn't that attractive. Not to mention his identity as an Array Master. Just his elementary immortal realm cultivation made it very easy for him to earn money. You can't say that. Jiang and I smiled. If young Master D didn't take care of the most troublesome part, all of this wouldn't have gone so smoothly. The subsequent matters didn't require much effort. To be honest, we have always been sworn enemies with the Ning family. During this period of time, we have been suppressed by them. If young Master D didn't appear, I'm afraid the Jiang family would have ended up like this. Whether young Master D cares or not, our Jiang family will remember this favor in our hearts. Therefore, we can't keep these things for ourselves. Young Master D, please accept them. This way we can feel better. Hearing Jiang Ni's words, everyone felt rather comfortable. They had to admit that Jiang and I was very skillful with his words. His words made everyone unable to feel any disgust towards him. How could Bewitching not understand that Jiang and I was trying to curry favor with them in order to befriend them? However, putting aside the fact that they wouldn't stay in Level Peak City, they didn't even plan to stay in the chaotic celestial realm. At this time, Gong Jun ran out with a smile. Since Patriarch Jiang has said so, then we will accept this. Thank you very much. Boss, the Ning clan is a big clan after all. They must have left many things behind over the years. It would be a waste if we don't take it. Gong Jun sent a telepathic message anxiously. He was really convinced. Boss was good at everything, but why couldn't he change this bad habit of not loving money? As a cultivator, how important were cultivation resources? Now that someone had come knocking on his door, he would be a fool if he didn't take it. Everyone noticed Gong Jun's money grubber appearance and couldn't help but shake their heads helplessly. This situation really wasn't out of their expectations at all. This fellow had never had any resistance against such things. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.